Today, we're diving into an incredibly disturbing story. A story that brings to light the absolute darkness lurking behind the facade of a respected profession. Imagine trusting someone with your life, only to discover their true nature is one of unimaginable deceit and violence. Dr. Stephen Matthews, a Denver cardiologist, was sentenced to a staggering 158 years in prison. His crime? Using his charm and position of authority to lure, drug, and assault women he met on dating apps. This story will shake you to your core, but it's one that must be told. Before we begin, a strong warning. This episode contains sensitive material, including descriptions of sexual assault and drugging. Listener discretion is advised, and if this topic feels too heavy, please consider your well-being first. Welcome back to Life Points with Ronda, the podcast where we discuss the complexities of life and relationships, shedding light on difficult topics with a perspective grounded in truth and healing. Today's episode takes on a dark subject, but it's a story that needs to be heard. The tale of Dr. Stephen Matthews serves as a harrowing reminder of the evil that can lurk behind positions of trust and authority. Dr. Stephen Matthews was a well-known figure in Denver. A successful cardiologist in his late 30s, he built a reputation as a calm, caring, and incredibly skilled doctor. Patients felt comfortable under his care, and he was praised by colleagues for his steady demeanor and professional dedication. From the outside, he seemed to have it all: a prestigious career, respect in the community, and a life of achievement. Yet, behind this carefully crafted image lay a man with dark, predatory instincts. Matthews wasn't just a trusted doctor, he was also a master manipulator who took advantage of his authority to pursue women in disturbing, calculated ways. Between 2019 and 2023, Matthews targeted women on dating apps like Hinge and Tinder, drawing them into a web of deceit and, ultimately, horror. A calculated predator, the modus operandi. Using dating apps, Matthews crafted a charismatic online persona. He presented himself as charming, responsible, and genuine. A doctor looking for companionship, as he often described himself. Many women found this appealing. Dating a doctor seemed safe, even admirable. But once he had his victim's attention, Matthews methodically set his plans into motion. He would arrange to meet these women near his home in Denver. On the surface, everything seemed fine. An ordinary date, harmless conversation. But as the night wore on, he would suggest they go back to his place for a drink or to continue the conversation. Once inside, Matthews would prepare drinks that he had secretly spiked with powerful sedatives. The women would experience sudden dizziness, confusion, and often had little memory of what happened next. For many of his victims, the realization only came the morning after. They would wake up disoriented, often with hazy memories and a sinking feeling that something terrible had happened. Matthews would try to deflect blame by suggesting they had simply overindulged, using subtle manipulation to make them question their own memories. He gaslighted his victims, creating self-doubt and making them believe they were at fault. the courage to speak, the first victim comes forward. It was in March 2023 that one brave woman broke her silence and came forward. She reported to the Denver Police Department that she had been drugged and assaulted after a date with Matthews. Her courage in reporting her experience set off a cascade of disclosures as other victims began to come forward with strikingly similar stories. More reports followed, with each woman recounting eerily familiar experiences of meeting Matthews through dating apps, going to his home, and losing consciousness after having a drink. The stories were too consistent to ignore. Each account bore the same terrifying pattern, and it quickly became clear that Matthews had preyed on these women systematically. Law enforcement responded by issuing a public appeal for additional victims to step forward, leading to even more disclosures. By May 2023, Matthews was arrested, and a full investigation was launched with a team of detectives piecing together his history of calculated abuse. The investigation, evidence, and discoveries. As detectives looked into Matthew's history, they uncovered a deeply disturbing pattern. He had orchestrated these encounters over a span of 4 years, using his position and charm to lure women in, and his knowledge of drugs to incapacitate them. Evidence collected from his home included traces of sedatives that matched the victims' accounts of their sudden loss of consciousness. Investigators also found digital evidence, texts and app messages between Matthews and his victims that pointed to his premeditated intent. In these messages, he often invited the women over with flattering words, creating a false sense of security. The detectives realized they were dealing with a predator who carefully constructed a web to trap his victims and used his medical expertise to avoid detection. For the detectives and prosecutors, this case was especially harrowing. Matthews' crimes exposed a sinister reality within what was supposed to be a safe, professional world. The evidence was damning, and yet, as the case moved to trial, Matthews' defense team attempted to downplay the severity of his actions, claiming inconsistencies in the victims' accounts. But the survivors' voices were too strong and too numerous to be silenced. The trial, Voices of the Survivors. In August 2024, Matthews faced trial on 38 felony charges, including multiple counts of sexual assault and second-degree assault related to drugging his victims. The courtroom was tense as survivors came forward, one by one, each bravely recounting their trauma and the impact Matthews had on their lives. One victim described waking up with bruises and no memory of how she got them. Another shared the fear and shame she endured, initially believing she had done something wrong. These women had carried their pain and confusion alone, but now they were united in seeking justice. Their stories painted a vivid picture of Matthews as a calculated predator who abused his medical knowledge to exploit them. The prosecution laid out the evidence methodically, exposing Matthews' manipulation and his attempts to discredit his victims. The jury listened intently as the prosecutor emphasized the deliberate nature of Matthews' actions, underscoring that these were not isolated incidents, but part of a pattern that spanned years. In the end, the overwhelming evidence left little doubt, and Matthews was found guilty on 35 of the 38 charges. Sentencing. A moment of justice. On October 25th, 2024, Dr. Stephen Matthews was sentenced to 158 years in prison, effectively ensuring he would never walk free again. Judge Eric Johnson delivered a powerful statement, condemning Matthews as a narcissistic monster whose actions had brought pain and devastation to countless lives. The judge did not mince words, telling Matthews, "You have diminished this world. You hurt our society. It is a darker place because of you." The sentencing was a moment of catharsis for the survivors, who had lived through years of trauma and doubt. Many shared impact statements during the hearing. Speaking of the scars Matthew's actions had left on their lives. One survivor said, "I let your actions eat me alive for years. Today, I take my power back." Their words resonated deeply, turning the courtroom into a place of both reckoning and healing. For the survivors, this sentence was more than a punishment for Matthews. It was a validation of their pain and a reminder that justice, though delayed, was possible. The story of Dr. Stephen Matthews is one of betrayal, resilience, and justice. It is a chilling reminder that those who appear trustworthy are not always safe. This case has sparked conversations nationwide about the potential dangers of online dating, the abuse of authority, and the importance of vigilance. This isn't just a story about a doctor turned predator. It's a lesson on the courage it takes for survivors to come forward, to share their truth, and to face their abuser head on. Dr. Matthews' actions were heinous, but they will not define the survivors' lives. Through their bravery, they've ensured that he will never harm anyone else again. If you or someone you know has been affected by similar experiences, please know that you're not alone. There are people who will listen, believe, and support you. And remember, your story matters. Thank you for joining me today on Life Points with Ronda. Please subscribe for more conversations that reveal the truths we need to hear, and connect with me across all platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and my website at Life Points with Ronda. Thanks for joining me on Life Points with Ronda. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more relationship tips and life advice. Looking for more in-depth conversations and exclusive content? Visit my website at lifepointswithronda.com. Discover insightful podcasts, blog posts, and resources that will help you build stronger relationships and improve your daily life. Join our community on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for daily inspiration and updates. And remember, every relationship starts with you. Let's make life better together.